What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to be looking at a pretty spicy Horde Dragon game. Going to be starting with a forbidden fruit in the shop, so I'll just be locking that for turn 2 to be able to pick up some weak units here with the Crafty and the Happy Little Tree. I don't really hate Crafty now that it is a 2-2. It feels a lot better locking this shop. We might not even have to pick up the Happy Little Tree. Unfortunately, we fail to slay with the Polywoggle, so that is slightly unfortunate. We actually get Cinderella in replace, so now we can pick up Cinderella, then the Forbidden Fruit, then the Crafty. That is the best possible roll into that slot. Crafty, of course, slightly, better on Horde Dragon because we are going to be pursuing those treasures so much more aggressively, but Cindy is the absolute best unit on level 2 for Horde Dragon because you get a free tier 3 treasure, and that is just absolutely wonderful, and we get to already be making progress with the Forbidden Fruit. Hopefully we can slay with the Polywoggle, but even if we don't, I'm still feeling pretty good, and actually we do, so that is nice. We slay with the Polywoggle, and we win the combat, dealing 3 damage to Beauty. So there you go. We get a Romeo for our troubles, then we get to Eeny Meeny, and we actually get the Crafty on the Eeny Meeny, so now I have to figure out what else I want. Probably just the Baby Dragon for the stats. Trees used to definitely be a way that you would push yourself with Horde Dragon because you could pick up the round table more easily, which just takes the trees comp from like good to fantastic. But we're passing up some Happy Little Trees in this game just to play the best possible stats, and we're looking pretty strong going into 2.2 up against a Geppetto, so they could have some strong stuff too, but Baby Dragon is, of course, also going to be able to do some work, so I'm feeling pretty confident. Yeah, they just have a pair of black cats. I'm pretty sure we beat that with this board. Do have to think, right? Could matter if they attack our 3/3 Crafty. So this one is also not close, going to hit Geppetto for 4 damage, and we have to be feeling pretty good about our chances at a time like this. I think that here we'll just be taking the Baby Dragon and the Golden Chicken, or the Baby Root and the Golden Chicken. I already have the Baby Dragon, and then going for this Luna's Grace just to tick slightly more onto this Cinderella. I could see picking up the egg instead of the Golden Chicken because we are going to be playing up against the 40 health Merlin, but I think that Golden Chicken can also just do some nice things for Horde Dragon because you pick them up slowly. It kind of gives you some flexibility in terms of your treasure hunting, whereas Humpty Dumpty is not really something that I really want to see while I am playing Merlin. This Lonely Prince is strong. Is it strong enough? It's going to be strong enough to almost tie, but Baby Root lets us secure the victory. So continuing to beat up this lobby, we are, I won't say, oh yeah, we are the only undefeated player. Well, I don't know what's going on with this Celestial Tiger. I don't know if this is Forbidden Fruit plus Healing Potion, or if this is, well, I feel like I have to talk about those treasures now. But the Celestial Tiger might also be undefeated. So we complete the Cinderella, and one of the reasons that I do like Horde Dragon, let's try to get it on a clean, there we go, that looks a little bit nicer. So definitely some options here. Telltale Quiver is not really going to help us on board. Deepstone Mine is decent though. We do have 2 dwarves. It's going to give both of them +2/+2, plus it's a treasure, so it'll give them +2/+2 for that. But I do tend to like Crystal Ball on Horde Dragon because it is easier to find Hat than it would be on some other heroes. And I've got other videos about Horde Dragon, Crystal Balling, some other notable players. I know Jeebus has backed me up before saying that hatballing on Horde Dragon is generally pretty easy. And while I do like these chickens, I do think that Mummy is just a stronger unit, and I do want to continue to play a strong board. So I'm going to pick up a pair of mummies here and slot those in. Could potentially cut the baby route to play the other crafty. But I believe this is what I'm going to go with. Going to go with no pumps on the baby dragon instead and just supporting my two larger units. So let's see how this works out for us against the Celestial Tiger. Baby dragon just trading with nothing and then them taking out our baby root. But this does still look okay. They're going to get a few hits on the lucky, and it looks like they just have a ring of regen. So my opponent isn't too strong, but they are going to beat us here. So fair play to them. Now, what are we looking for? This is our last turn on level 3, so I'd really like to make some treasures happen. And we get a really interesting treasure option here. I don't really care about Gloves of Thieving or Reduplicator. Gloves of Thieving can be okay. Reduplicator, I generally pass it. I generally don't think it is a good treasure. But Dwarven Forge presents a really, really interesting opportunity on Horde Dragon. And of course we're going to take it because we do already have this crafty as well. So we're going to immediately grab a tier 3 treasure off of this. But it also means that we're a Dwarven Forge Horde Dragon, which just presents a lot of power in your ability to find the treasures that you're looking for. And that is why I am calling this game Crafting the Exodia comp, because, or crafting Exodia mages or something like that, because you really do just have so much flexibility by taking Dwarven Forge on Horde Dragon. I go for Haunted Helm here, and then I decide to roll a little bit. And my thinking here is a fully loaded, upgraded crafty with a Haunted Helm on it, a 13 or a 1730. I think that's going to be enough to just win us some combat. So what I kind of want to do here is roll for some dwarves and potentially pick up some more dwarves while we are still level 3. And here's a lucky. So I think my plan now is to sell the baby dragon and the Cinderella and just pick up the lucky, and I'm pretty confident that this crafty can carry us. The mummy is also decent and I think will be good, but a 1730, that is just really strong at this stage of the game, and I'm hoping that basically only playing 4 units, we will still be able to put something together. And you look at my opponent's comp, not too scary. The donkey could have been scary, but their entire backline is just supports, so once we take out their front line, it is slim pickings and we're going to be able to hit them for 7. So now we're looking for dwarves. We could take Princess White. It's tough. I also like the idea of taking the Wizard's Familiar because I think I'm going to be hunting for the Merlin's Hat and trying to pick up some more dwarves that work with that. We roll a Falling Stars off the Genie's Wish, so I guess I do have to put in the Creeper. And then we see a shop with the pair of Wizard's Familiars, plus a Spellweaver, plus the End, which is pretty solid, and we've got some targets that will be the endable. So I am going to go ahead and lock this shop, just kind of debating exactly what I'm going to be doing next turn. That's something you can always consider when you know that you're locking, is you can figure out what your next turn is going to be as well. And then I guess I also wanted to figure out what units I wanted to get into this battle. I don't really want to play the baby root because then it's just going to get buffed by the Falling Stars and just makes for an awkward turn. So we wind up killing their Polywoggle with our Mummy, so that is going to make this combat go pretty well for us. And again, my opponent is not going to be able to get past our crafty. They are going to have a Court Wizard, which looks like will actually tie it up. So they do get past the crafty in some capacity, but not in a way that is going to spell demise for us. So I'll pick up another Wizard's Familiar, pick up a Black Cat that has become free, and then I'm just going to the end the Romeo. The real thing that I'm looking for now, yeah, might as well cast this Earthquake. But the real thing that we are looking for now is just the tier 2 dwarves to try to get some hats. And that should be pretty easy. I'll also pick up Wizards Familiars and Spellweavers on the way, and I think we should be able to make use of that with the Dwarven Forge. Let's jump ahead into the game against the Fallen Angel. Earthquake plus the Falling Stars is going to do some damage to pop open their peep, and then they have a Falling Stars as well, so maybe should have kept in the Creeper with the fact that they had another Falling Stars off the monster book. We get the option now to pick up a Rainbow Unicorn. We could cast some spells, could take this Black Cat because it would be a pair of 2s, but we're going to roll on past it. I will pick up this Spellweaver, and I think I'll be tempted to go for Burning Palm. No. Okay, so pretty dialed in here right now. 41 health. I guess I'm not feeling too threatened. Do I cast this Burning Palm? I feel like I do, because Burning Palm is so good to get a Spellweaver started. I do really want to find Aeon at this point if I cannot find a hat easily. So there's definitely some things to consider, and obviously Angry is something to consider. Could get us a tier 6 treasure on the cheap, but I don't really want to spend my coin on that when I'm looking for Aeons. But rolling across a pair of bossies, well, that's obviously a little bit more tempting. I can make use of the 1 gold that I currently have by selling my entire bench, picking up a bossy, and then locking the rest of the shop. So that's what I'm going to do. The bossy is also going to play on the board because it's going to contribute to the crafty and the lucky, so it does make my board a little bit stronger, but I am mostly taking it for the relatively cheap tier 6 treasure. Paying 10 for a tier 6 treasure, not too bad. We can see that my opponent already has a tier 6 treasure as well, but they kind of also just have a hodgepodge of random stuff. Does look like it's going to be enough though, as we are going to take a loss against Cinderella's Wand of Weirding, or not Cinderella, Beauty's Wand of Weirding. But we get a tier 6 treasure here, and we get to pick up the 9th book of Merlin, which is great because we're already like half mages. We're also half dwarves, but I don't think that the Ivory Owl or the Ark is nearly as strong on this current board. And again, the important thing here is I think that we really have a good deal of treasure selection. What we'd really love to do right now, and this is how I'm going to kind of craft the rest of my game, is I'm really going to look for Aeon. Aeon is the most important thing by far for us right now, and at this point it's just going to be easier to find an Aeon and get that online than it is going to be to find the Merlin's hat or find a Merlin or the Moonsong horn, which just isn't going to give enough of a bonus that we'd care about. Oh, let me go back because it does look like I do wind up doing some rolling this turn. So I guess we're rolling a little bit for Aeon, but then also we've got the Lucky potentially that we could pick up. The thing is, I don't really want the Lucky because I don't want to drop the Dwarven Forge, I don't want to drop the Crystal Ball, and I don't want to drop the Merlin's hat, so don't really care about this Lucky. I will sell the Mummy to pick up the Beauty's Influence on my second Spellweaver. I think that that is fine, but I'm going to let this Lucky roll on by. Just don't need it. It just costs us 1 gold to upgrade our existing Lucky. It can be okay. Getting that Last Breath -4 on something can be some additional econ. I'm actually considering the Sporkos just to have additional mages. I think that could be good. And Sporko is also key because it is a 4-cost mage, which could potentially allow me to get the Mimic Chest, which allows the 9th Book of Merlin to really just pop off. So before we do that, we are going to have to deal with this Geppetto, and I think that we will be able to deal with them pretty nicely. Summoning Portal plus Princess Peep. I think they had a pair of Princess Peep. That is definitely a good start for Geppetto. I think we're just going to barely lose this one to these Vultures. They have a pretty good comp right now. And that's fair. Depends on what spell this rolls, and no, it's not going to be a combat spell. Tough to find a relevant combat spell when you're still level 5 here. But we roll and we hit into the Aeon, which is absolutely wonderful news. We can also take this Lady of the Lake here, just go Lady of the Lake plus Toil and Trouble, and honestly, it seems pretty good, but I do wind up rolling, and we roll into Wizard's Familiar plus Aeon. So pick up this Wizard's Familiar first. If it turns into Hat, then I'm going to have some decisions to make, because if it turns into Hat, then things get awkward. But it doesn't, so don't really have to worry about that. Just skip the treasure, and now I can go Forbidden Fruit, and I think I go Forbidden Fruit Roll. I think that the, Fruit Roll up there. I think that the play is actually Forbidden Fruit and then sell Lucky and just buy the Golden Chicken, hold the Econ for the next turn, but this is still going to be pretty decent for us. So now if we can get a Slay on either of our Aeons, we're cooking with gas, but even if we don't, when these Aeons die, they're going to start casting spells, so that's still going to be pretty good, and I think that we have got the good start to a good game here. We could put one of the Aeon's backline. It would increase their potential to slay by a little bit, because the Aeons are going to grow my other units in combat, but we have decent odds to slay there. Yes, 75% to slay, and an Earthquake takes out Lancelot. So this combat is going really well for us, and we are starting to turn things around against this. I believe this Merlin just beat us recently, right? I know the Beauty beat us, that is now gone, but I believe that this Merlin beat us recently too. Wasn't fully paying attention, but now we're super strong, and I feel like we don't have too much more to worry about. I am really considering Lady of the Lake. For a second I say, well, I'd rather put a Sporko, but then I decide against it, and I think, no, I actually do want a Lady of the Lake, because we're going to have enough attack. The thing is, Sporko would help these Aeons slay, but it's not going to help us too much. And we pick up a Greedy because I am really looking for 4-cost Dwarves. That is going to be an incredible help in terms of getting us that Mimic chest, and that's just really going to allow us to pop off. I sold the Golden Chicken to roll because I did know that I had cheaper spells this turn and wanted to make use of that. And against this Ghost, I decided to do a little bit of greed balling against them by putting in the Greedy. Could put in the Bossy, which I think gives you slightly higher chances to greed ball them slightly. But basically, we're just hoping that our Aeons roll into Falling Stars. That's like the main way that we're going to get this Greedy online, and not really by it like surviving combat or anything. And it's probably worth it to have the Lady of the Lake in the battle, so that way the Aeons can give it additional attack. So I think that that is going to be more useful overall. But maybe we'll get a coin or two off the Greedy and do some fun greed ball shenanigans. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got a bunch of soul tax, so those could stop our spells, and more importantly, well, equally importantly, they stop our slays, but they do give us some cash on the greedies, so I guess not all is lost. But yeah, not looking super great for us. The donkey is going to give them an angry, which we will immediately shrivel. And how are we looking? Now that we've dealt with the soul tax, I think we are looking good. Yeah, we'll be able to take out the baby root there. And there's the falling stars, just a little bit too late. So now we've got the chance to pick up a knighthood, and it is a pretty expensive knighthood, but I think it's worth it. So there's two things going into this. I don't really need to upgrade the Aeons because I don't need another tier 6 treasure. The only treasure really that I want is Mimic Chest. That is going to give us the full Exodia Mage perfect build, and that's what I'm going for. I do briefly consider picking up Tweedledees as well, but we didn't have the cash to pick it up right there, and I don't think that it would be worth the amount that we have to spend for it. So not going to worry about it. am going to sell this Crafty just to cast this Luna's Grace, because it is so important that we do get these slays on these Aeon and start to Hatball. And then I do believe that this is where I stop. I think I might put in the Bossy at the very last second. No, I don't. Okay, I stick with the Greedy. Nice. We're still greed balling. So as long as we can get a slay with this Aeon, that is absolutely huge, and that is going to set things up really well for us this combat. Plus, we get to cast a few other spells and things, and the rest of this combat is looking good. You can see we are growing the Lady of the Lake. That is going to start to look really strong for us too, and get us some additional stats. But the important thing is that next combat we are hatballing. We're also taking out Capricious Amy right now, and we are going to be pretty strong moving into the top 4. Hercules is interesting because it could get us a tier 7 treasure, certainly worth considering, but I want to make use of this turn where we've got the cheap spells right now. So I want to spend all my cash on spells and I guess rolling. Spellweaver, I guess I'll also take it. We're just skipping this treasure here every time, not taking Moonsong Horn. The Dwarven Forge just really has the ability to pay out for us. I just think that as we move into the late game, we might want this Spellweaver upgraded, and just in time we find a replacement for it in the Storm King. That is pretty fantastic, and then we still get to end this shop by casting a few more spells. We turn the Aeon good, and then immediately find a Sugar and Spice, and then we'll end off with a Shrink spell. Should probably move the Storm King to the front. And then I guess I'm going to still rock the Greedy. Oh, this might be the combat where I decide, okay, now that we're in the top 4, let's just play the Bossy because it's got a few more stats than the Greedy, and I do believe that I wind up switching to that in the last second. But Storm King is a huge boon on this board. It is a really strong unit to be able to pick up. Do I put the Bossy in? Yeah, I do. Okay. So now, as long as we can continue to slay with these Aeons, which they're growing at a really incredible pace, and we're up against Geppetto, so you have to know that they're probably going to slay there. Fortunately, one of the Aeons goes down, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but I don't think that this Geppetto is too much to worry about. They've got a Hippo with no stats on it, and then they just have a pair of Vultures, which we should be able to pick up pretty easily if my opponent is even able to get past my Storm King. We almost had a second slay on the Aeon if we won that 50-50 there, if they attacked into the Storm King, but we are going to win the combat dealing 14 damage to Geppetto. Then we get to pick up another Storm King. We can also pick up another Spellweaver right now, so things are really looking up for the mages. I'm not sure if I pick up this Spellweaver. Yeah, I don't, because I still really want to find this Greedy and do some fun things with that. We're in top 3 now, and this Celestial Tiger is at 48 health, and we have not played against them in a minute. So that is looking pretty scary, but for right now we are up against the Ghost, so things are looking pretty good. I don't yet want to give up my Horde Dragon because I want to find this Greedy and see if there's something we can do with that. Roll into Feed the Kraken, and unfortunately there's nothing I can do with that, as I do want to hang on to this Greedy like I've been saying. So I'm just going to roll and see if there isn't one more spell that we could cast. Could pick up a Sporko. Again, that does also triple into Mimic Chest, but I think we're just going to keep rolling and we'll end on a Ride of the Valkyrie. And again, if we had gone for these Tweedledees, we would have seen a lot more treasures this game, but unfortunately we hitched our ride onto Greedy and it just did not work out well for us. But this combat is going to work out well for us up against the Ghost. We're going to get a 3 reduction on our spells for the next combat, and we're also going to grow our units by a little bit, assuming they can take out some of our... No, we actually wind up not casting any more spells this combat because none of our units die. And now we are in the finals. It's do or die time. The game is almost over, but at the same time not quite close to being over. So we do know that this Celestial Tiger had the Ring of Regeneration. I forgot the name of Ring of Regen a few videos ago. It's Ring of Regen. There we go. And this is a pretty crazy turn because I wind up just rolling into this Mix-a-Wizzle and deciding, all right, now is the time that I will Mix-a-Wizzle my Wizard's Familiar, and we wind up doing some nice stuff with it. So Drink Me Potion into another Mix-a-Wizzle, plus a Croc, which could go well on the Storm King, but I'm not quite sure that that is worth the investment of 3 gold. What's scary here, though, is we don't know what my opponent is playing at all, because my opponent, we haven't played them since, like, a long time ago, since like they'd first picked up the Ring of Regeneration back when the game was like first starting. So they could have absolutely any comp, and of course that is pretty scary. We are going to roll our Wizard's Familiar into a Bossy before finding the True Love's Kiss and turning it into a Gumblegore. So pretty good call there to True Love's Kiss it up the chain, and we're going to get a reasonable ranged unit. Unfortunately, it's not a mage, so it's not going to be absolutely incredible for us, but it is still going to give us some decent combat-related stats. So that is all pretty fantastic, and it's time to figure out exactly what this Celestial Tiger is up to. They have not lost a game in a long time, so it is certainly scary to be up against them, but either way, this isn't the last game of the fight. 29 health to 50 health. My opponent with Excalibur, and they've got a really interesting comp here as they go for the Ring of Meteors, pumping up a pair of Doom Breaths. So that is going to get them really big Doom Breaths that are going to be able to take out my backline, and that's going to inform a lot of the decisions that we make this game, but we are going to walk away from this one victorious and hitting my opponent for 10. Just got to do that 4 more times. We're really in for it here. Luna's Grace will pump up our other Aeon just a little bit, and then I find a Storm King, and this gives us a tier 7 treasure. It does consolidate our board considerably, but a tier 7 treasure, you're not going to pass that up. Excalibur's interesting, but not really good on Horde Dragon, but Mirror is actually fantastic. And it wasn't something that I had considered initially, but now we can really craft the Exodia comp. Because now we could have Mirror Mimic Merlin's 9th, which is the best possible combination of treasures in the game. I don't want to sell it short in any capacity. If you can think of a better one, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe Hat plus Ball is pretty good too, but for my money, Mirror Mimic Merlin's is the best combination of 3 treasures. So I'm going to be trying really hard to find this greedy. Maybe someday we'll get it. You'll see that I make an interesting decision here. I move my ranged units to the front line because I want to play around the dragon, and we got to pause it for a second because, well, okay, let's wait till we get a better screen to pause on. My opponent changed their entire comp. So maybe this is part of having Excalibur. I don't know how, like, all of their Gumblegore now is a good unit, and they've got this Lady of the Lake too, but then they're also playing this Ashwood and this other stuff. My opponent's doing some wacky things, but they changed their entire board, which kind of makes my decision to frontline my ranged units look a little bit silly. I also should have not frontlined the Greedy because of the Mirror. I should have just frontlined any mage. I was thinking maybe the Greedy would be fine. Like, the Greedy's not doing anything in the back line, but the Greedy should have definitely been in the back, just so that I could put another mage in the front, because I want to play all mages in the front row. Yeah, because that's going to do absolutely nothing. Does look like we still should walk away from this one, now hitting my opponent for 13, so just have to do that 3 more times. Of course, they are going to be gaining some health in all of this as well. I did also toss my Ball, and that is obviously pretty interesting. Could go for the dream. I think that the dream will lend itself to creating the perfect comp, but for right now, I still want to hang on to it because I've got this greedy. So going to hang on to that for a little bit more. We've got this golden chicken. Maybe we can roll. It's really like adding additional stats to our board really isn't going to make us that much stronger at this point, but the copycat will make us decently stronger. So I go for the golden chicken. Actually, I can go for the eeny meeny, that's right, and then sell the unit that I get off that because it is still a free eeny meeny, and we're only casting one spell each turn anyways. Now, I actually didn't realize this at the time of playing this game, but I've got the Copycat right now. Copycat is really, really good in this comp, but I totally did not realize it is supporting a Gumblegore, which is not a mage. I just assumed that everything that I had was mages, but of course my Gumblegore is not. So that is going to mean that this Copycat is only going to be casting one spell here, and yeah, just definitely an oversight on my part that I was not thinking about. The Copycat does get to resummon, though, off of the Mirror, so it is still pretty synergistic, pretty powerful. I'm not super worried about the Aeons slaying at this point because we're not really doing hat ball stuff. We're just doing Mirror, ninth book stuff, and eventually we'll throw a Mimic Chest in here in some capacity. But we do actually still get a slay off Aeon. Hit my opponent for 13. We'll have to do that 3 more times. And then we pick up a Storm King. And the second we pick up the Storm King, I realize what you might have already realized in the comments, and that is the fact that Storm King works great with Mirror, and I should be running these Storm Kings in the front line because then they are going to resummon and they're going to retain their stats. We have the possibility here to lock a Knighthood, but also pick up a Greedy, and we can use this Greedy to grab a tier 5 treasure. Monkey's Paw, Sword of Fire and Ice, Hand of Midas, not what I'm looking for. I could take the Hand of Midas, it's probably better than the Dwarven Forge. I think I just skip in my frustration here, and I just really wanting to craft this pure Exodia comp. I think I wind up rolling even too to try to just make this comp a little bit better. Again, I should be putting 2 mages behind the Copycat. I think I'm just not going to notice. There's a lot of other stuff going on when you're hat bowling, when you're horde dragoning, and when your opponent is switching their comp every other turn to mess with you. So they're back to upgraded pumpkins now. We attack with the Copycat and it doesn't give us any spells. That should have been my clue to notice here, but at this point I think I'm too excited on the fact that now we are resummoning huge Storm Kings off of these Mirrors, and Storm King is one of the ways that you really get great value off of Mirror, and it also looks like we'll be able to slay with Aeon yet again, assuming this spell doesn't take out my opponent's last unit. Looks like it won't, so we get 1 more slay there to finish off the combat. Hit my opponent for a few points of damage, only have to do that 1 more time. And we have not lost any of these battles to my opponent. We have not quite crafted the full Exodia board, but we've gotten pretty dang close, and that certainly counts for something. It's really tough for anybody to figure out what they can do against this board. And Storm King, another one, seems like it will add just a little bit more to the madness here. So I'll sell the chicken for the It Was All a Dream. None of these are going to do anything for us, but I am officially giving up on the Horde Dragon. I feel like this is probably going to be the last combat, so if we could have dreamed into Sadrak or something like that, well, then that could have been good. I'll just take Morgan. Maybe we wind up getting a tier 6 treasure off of it if my opponent is able to pull out some crazy combination. Or actually, yeah, I do go for Cursed King because I realize I don't care. Again, that Gumblegore is still going to be supporting the Copycat. Didn't notice during the game. So that is also going to keep us slightly short of Exodia. My opponent back on the pumpkin plan. Storm King is going to get in there, and one of the nice things about this is you can attack into Applewoods and then immediately just come back with all of your health. They do pumpkin Pigo, one of our really good units, but we are going to be able to cast at least one free spell with this Copycat, and then I believe it actually gets attacked by this Gumblegore, so it will resummon and cast another spell. It's only going to be one, unfortunately, because I do make that small mistake. And that also keeps us from creating the perfect Exodia comp, but that just means we've got room to improve. Storm King resummons and casts another spell, and that looks like it's going to be all she wrote. My opponent is not going to be able to get past this Storm King. We're going to hit them for 16 after slowly chipping down at this 50 health Celestial Tiger, and that is going to be a win with Exodia Mages. Let me go back and stay on this end screen for a second. Still a pretty fantastic comp. Gumblegore could have been any other mage, probably put the Lady of the Lake in that spot instead, but that is still going to be a really dominating and really fantastic performance. That is going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.